Welcome to the world of science fiction stories, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe my channel. Enjoy the listening. The galaxy's final mistake, unleashing a single human upon them. The crystalline spires of Zalaxia Prime shimmered under the light of 3 moons. Their once proud gleam was now dulled by the constant bombardment from Dravik warships. What remained of our civilization huddled in the underground chambers beneath the ancient library of knowledge, the last sanctuary on a dying world. I am Ilarin, Chief Archivist of the Zalaxian Collective, and I write these words as a testament to the most desperate gamble in our 10,000-year history. The attack alarm echoed through the chambers again, the 3rd time in as many hours. Children whimpered as parents held them close, their 4 eyes blinking in synchronized fear, a biological response we could no longer control. We Zalaxians had evolved as scientists and philosophers. Our bodies adapted for thought rather than combat. Our 6-fingered hands could calculate complex stellar equations, but had never needed to form a fist. Elder Council requests your presence immediately, Archivist Aaron announced, Felix's translucent skin pulsing with urgency patterns. They have approved Project Resurrection. My heart quickened. They cannot be serious. The ethical implications alone. Ethics will not matter if we are extinct by dawn, Felix interrupted, his voice hollow. The Dravik flagship breached our final orbital defense grid an hour ago. I followed Aaron through winding corridors carved with the history of our people, a history soon to be erased unless we succeeded. Around us, wounded Zalaxians lay on makeshift beds, casualties from the surface raids. Our medical technology was advanced, but Dravik weapons were designed to inflict wounds our regenerative therapies couldn't heal. The council chamber was barely recognizable. Gone were the ornate discussion platforms and meditation pools, instead, ancient equipment had been hastily assembled in the center. Technology forbidden since the Great Schism. Elder Meraxi, her skin now almost completely transparent with age, beckoned me forward. Archivist, the time for debate has passed. Activate the summoner. Elder, please reconsider, I pleaded. The archives are clear about humans, they are unpredictable, violent, and the only species to ever defeat the Dravik in combat. 300 cycles ago, she finished. The Dravik Empire encountered humans at the edges of what they called Orion's Arm. The archives I had recovered described the outcome in stark terms. In theory, the summoner could locate and retrieve a being from another reality, specifically, a human warrior, Technician Boyle reported, his fingers dancing across the control panel. I've calibrated for maximum compatibility with our atmosphere and gravity. Wait, I said. If we do this, if we bring a human here, what will we offer in return? We are asking them to fight for us, to possibly die for us. We must give something of equal value. Knowledge, Archivist, Elder Meraxi's eyes darkened. All our accumulated wisdom, and if they help us survive, we will offer alliance. The chamber shook as a Dravik bombardment struck somewhere above. Dust rained from the ceiling. We have no more time, Boyle warned. Power systems are failing. It's now or never. Elder Meraxi placed her 6-fingered hand on the activation crystal. For the future of our people, she whispered, and pressed down. The summoner hummed to life, its crystal components vibrating at frequencies that made my inner ears ache. A sphere of energy formed in the center of the device, pulsing with colors I had no names for. The air crackled with ozone and possibility. Targeting a human with combat experience, Boyle reported, his voice straining to be heard over the hum. I'm detecting a potential match, military background, strong vital signs. The energy sphere expanded suddenly, filling the chamber with blinding light. When it receded, a figure lay crouched on the platform, disoriented, but instantly alert. She was smaller than I had expected. The human wore a fitted dark uniform with an insignia I didn't recognize. Her skin was a rich brown, her hair black and cut close to her skull. Most striking were her eyes, dark, intelligent, already assessing every corner of the room for potential threats and exits. In one fluid motion I could not follow, she was on her feet, a small weapon appearing in her hand from somewhere on her body. "Identify yourselves, and state my location," she demanded. Despite its softness, her voice carried unmistakable authority. "Why am I here?" I stepped forward slowly, hands raised in what I hoped was a universal gesture of peace. "I am Archivist Ilarin of the Zalaxian Collective. You are on Zalaxia Prime, approximately 30,000 light-years from Earth, in what I believe your people call the Sagittarius Arm." The human's expression didn't change, but I noticed her grip on the weapon tighten slightly. "That's not possible," she said. "The furthest human outpost is Proxima Centauri, 4 light-years from Earth. We use dimensional translocation technology to bring you here," I explained. "In your timeline, the year would be 2157 by your calendar." She processed this information with remarkable speed. "My name is Commander Maya Chen, Earth Defense Force. Why have you brought me here?" Before I could answer, another bombardment shook the chamber, more violently than before. Part of the ceiling collapsed at the far end, sending everyone scrambling for safety. Maya didn't flinch. Instead, she moved with incredible speed to push Elder Meraxi out of the path of falling debris. Her reaction time was impossibly fast by Zalaxian standards. "We're under attack," she stated rather than asked, holstering her weapon and helping the Elder to her feet. "Yes," I confirmed. "By a species called the Dravic. They've destroyed most of our civilization, we are the last survivors on this world. And you brought me here to help you fight," she concluded, her eyes narrowing slightly. "How many of these Dravic are we talking about?" "The invasion fleet numbers 23 capital ships and approximately 100,000 ground troops," Boral supplied, checking his datapad. Maya was silent for a moment. Then she laughed, a sound none of us expected. "So you're telling me you yanked me across the galaxy to fight an alien army of 100,000? And you thought one human would be enough?" "The archives indicated the humans defeated the Dravic before," Elder Meraxi said softly. "That wasn't one human," Maya interrupted, then sighed. "But I'm here now, so show me what we're working with. What kind of weapons do you have?" An uncomfortable silence fell over the chamber. "We have none," I admitted. "The Zalaxian Collective renounced violence 5,000 cycles ago. We are scholars, artists, healers." Maya's expression was impossible to read. "Great. So I'm supposed to fight off an alien invasion with no weapons and no army? Anything else I should know?" As if in answer, a massive explosion rocked the entire complex. Emergency lights flickered on as the main power failed. "Dravic ground forces have breached the western entrance," a panicked voice announced over the comm system. "They'll reach the central chambers in minutes." Maya's demeanor changed instantly. Gone was disbelief, replaced by focused determination. "Everyone listen carefully. I need information about Dravic physiology, weaknesses, and tactics. I need to know the layout of this facility and any tools or technology that could be repurposed as weapons." She turned to me specifically. "And you, Archivist, I need everything you have on how humans defeated them before." I nodded, somehow reassured by her commanding presence despite our dire situation. "This way to the secure archives." As we hurried through the corridors, I glimpsed something I had never seen in my people before: hope. We reached the archive chamber just as distant sounds of conflict reached our ears. Maya positioned herself by the door, peering cautiously into the hallway. "Show me these Dravic," she demanded. I activated a holographic display projecting the image of our enemies. Dravic stood nearly 3 meters tall, their bodies covered in overlapping exoskeletal plates. They had 4 upper limbs, each ending in powerful gripping claws, and moved on 2 thick, trunk-like legs. Their sensory organs clustered around a central head structure, protected by a heavy bone crest. Maya studied the image intently. "Weaknesses. Their exoskeleton has gaps at the joints," I explained. "And their primary sensory cluster is vulnerable when they're focusing on a target." She nodded. What happened the last time they fought humans? I accessed the ancient records. According to these fragments, humans employed what the archives call asymmetric warfare. They avoided direct confrontation, instead targeting supply lines, communication nodes, and using the environment against numerically superior forces. A predatory, fierce smile spread across Maya's face. Some things never change. The door to the archive chamber slid open suddenly. A young Zalaxian researcher stumbled in, bleeding from a wound on his arm. "They're coming," he gasped. Less than 5 minutes away. Maya knelt beside a ventilation access panel, quickly removing the cover. "This connects to other parts of the facility," she said. I nodded, surprised she had noticed such a detail. "It runs throughout the entire complex." "Good. I need volunteers, brave ones who can follow directions." "Exactly," she said, her voice carrying unexpected authority. Several Zalaxians, including Felix and Vorl, stepped forward. "I don't have time to sugarcoat this," Maya continued. "Most of you will die if you stay here. I need a diversion while I get familiar with the enemy and find us some advantages." "What should we do?" asked Felix. "Split into groups. Make noise in different locations, then hide. Create confusion so I can see how they move, how they search, how they communicate." She turned to me. "Archivist, you're with me. I need your knowledge." The ventilation shaft was cramped for me but seemed almost spacious for Maya. We crawled silently until we reached an intersection overlooking a large hall. Below, the first Dravic soldiers entered, their heavy footsteps echoing on the crystal floor. "Those weapons," Maya whispered, pointing to the energy rifles the Dravic carried. "How do they work?" "Focused plasma discharge," I explained. "The power cells are in the rear housing." She nodded thoughtfully. "If damaged, they would likely explode." A cold smile spread across her face. "Perfect." From another corridor, a group of Zalaxian volunteers created a distraction exactly as Maya had instructed. The Dravic troops immediately divided, several breaking off to investigate. With movements so swift I could barely follow, Maya dropped from our hiding place behind the 2 remaining Dravic soldiers. Before they could react, she struck precisely at the vulnerable joint behind what would be a human knee. The first creature collapsed with a howl of pain. The second turned, raising its weapon, but Maya was already moving. She rolled beneath its fire, came up behind it, and leaped onto its back. With terrifying precision, she jammed her combat knife into the gap between the creature's armor plates at the neck. The Dravic crashed to the floor. Maya quickly stripped the fallen enemies of their weapons and communication devices, examining each with expert eyes. "These will do," she muttered, slinging one rifle over her shoulder and checking the power level on another. "Now show me the rest of your people. We have work to do." Over the next several hours, I witnessed something extraordinary. This single human began organizing our scattered, terrified population into an effective resistance. She assessed each Zalaxian's skills, assigning roles that played to individual strengths. Researchers became intelligence analysts. Medical staff prepared triage centers. Even the youngest children were given tasks collecting materials Maya needed. "The Dravic expect you to be easy targets," she explained as she trained a group on how to use the captured weapons. "Their entire strategy is built on overwhelming force against minimal resistance. We're going to show them something different." When Jurex, a theoretical physicist, questioned why he should take orders from an alien, Maya didn't argue. Instead, she challenged him to disarm her by any method he chose. What followed was a demonstration so swift and efficient that none could doubt her capabilities again. "I'm not asking you to become warriors," she told us afterward. "I'm asking you to survive. There's a difference." As darkness fell outside, Maya had established secure zones throughout the remaining sections of our complex. Using materials scavenged from our laboratories, she created rudimentary traps and barriers to channel the Dravic into kill zones. "They're hunting, room by room," she observed, studying a makeshift map we had created. "Methodical. Predictable. We can use that." A scout reported that the Dravik had set up a command post in what had once been our great assembly hall. Maya listened intently as the scout described the equipment being installed. "They're settling in for a longer operation," she concluded. "That gives us time." Elder Maraxi approached hesitantly. "Commander Chen, our people are not fighters. Many fear we cannot survive this, even with your help." Maya looked at her with unexpected gentleness. "With respect, Elder, you survived before I got here. You made the impossible decision to reach across dimensions for help. That took courage." She turned to address the gathered Zalaxians. "Tonight we rest and prepare. Tomorrow we begin taking back your world, not with a grand battle, we'd lose that, but one small victory at a time." As the Zalaxians dispersed to their assigned posts, Maya pulled me aside. "Archivist, there's something I need to know. How exactly did humans defeat the Dravik before, the complete truth?" I hesitated. "The records are fragmented, but they suggest humans introduced a pathogen engineered to target Dravik specifically. It killed millions before they retreated." I expected shock or horror. Instead, Maya nodded thoughtfully. "Biological warfare. Not my first choice, but we'll keep it as a last resort. For now, we focus on what we can control." She glanced toward the improvised barricades where Zalaxians were taking up positions, learning to use unfamiliar weapons with shaking hands. "Your people have more strength than they know," she said quietly. "Sometimes it takes an outsider to show you what you're capable of." As she walked away to check the defenses, I realized the human archives had been right about one thing: their kind was indeed dangerous. But perhaps, for the first time since the invasion began, that danger was exactly what we needed. Dawn broke over Zalaxia Prime, though few could see it from the underground chambers. Commander Maya Chen had been awake for hours, moving silently among the makeshift barricades, adjusting positions, checking equipment, and speaking quietly with each Zalaxian volunteer. I watched from nearby, documenting everything, historian's impulse even in desperate times. "Archivist," Maya called, gesturing me closer. "I need to understand something. These Dravik, what do they want?" "Simple conquest resources," I accessed my data tablet. "According to the archives, the Dravik operate on a philosophy of evolutionary dominance. They believe only the strongest species deserve to control space and resources. Those they conquer either serve or perish." Maya nodded. "So they're bullies with an ideology, I understand." She had spent the night organizing our people into what she called cells, small groups with specific functions who could operate independently if cut off from central command. Some were trained for defense, others for medical support, communications, or resource gathering. Most remarkable was how she'd identified hidden talents among our people: a theoretical physicist who showed unexpected skill with improvised explosives, a botanical researcher whose knowledge of native plants yielded effective smoke bombs. Commander Felix approached, his movements showing more confidence than the day before. "Traffic patrols are changing shifts. They appear to be concentrating forces at the eastern quadrant." "Good observation," Maya replied. "That means our false intel worked, they think we're gathered there." She turned to a holographic display of the complex. "Time for Phase 1. Vorl, is your team ready?" The technician nodded nervously. "We've reprogrammed the maintenance drones as you requested. They'll respond to the signal." Maya checked the captured Dravik rifle one final time. "Remember, the goal isn't to win a direct fight, it's to create confusion, gather intelligence, and capture more equipment. We hit fast, then disappear." The first engagement was over in minutes. Maya led a small team through service tunnels to ambush an isolated Dravik patrol. The aliens never saw it coming. Maintenance drones suddenly swarming from ventilation shafts distracted them, while Maya and 3 Zalaxians struck from behind. 4 more Dravik weapons were added to our arsenal, along with communication devices that Vorl immediately began decrypting. Their tactical network is surprisingly simple, he reported, fingers moving rapidly. Designed for efficiency rather than security. Can we listen in? Maya asked. Better, Vorl smiled. We can transmit false orders. His answer drew a predatory smile. Perfect. Over the next 2 days, a pattern emerged, small strikes against Dravik patrols, never in the same place twice, false communication sending troops to empty chambers, captured weapons distributed to newly trained Zalaxians. Each small victory boosted morale and provided more resources. I found Maya studying ancient schematics of our complex I had recovered from the archives. These maintenance tunnels, she said, pointing to a network of passages. They lead to the surface. Yes, I confirmed. But the surface is unsafe, radiation from their bombardment. Kai, she interrupted, they won't expect us to go there. Their supply ships must land somewhere, if we can disable even one. That would be a suicide mission, I protested. Maya looked at me steadily. This whole situation is a suicide mission, Archivist. The question is whether we go out cowering or fighting. That night, Maya gathered 20 volunteers, those who had shown the most aptitude for combat operations. This is completely voluntary, she emphasized. What we're about to attempt is extremely dangerous. Not a single Zalaxian backed out. Using radiation-shielded suits from our scientific laboratories, the team made their way to the surface through the maintenance tunnels. I insisted on accompanying them to document what might be our final stand. The devastation above ground exceeded even our worst fears. The once beautiful crystal cities of Zalaxia lay shattered, buildings reduced to glittering dust. The night sky, normally illuminated by 3 moons, was obscured by smoke and haze. In the distance, Dravik ships periodically landed and departed from a makeshift base. That's our target, Maya whispered, pointing to a cargo vessel touching down. Using rubble as cover, we approached the landing zone. The Dravik had grown complacent, posting minimal guards around supply ships. They clearly didn't expect resistance on the devastated surface. Remember the plan, Maya instructed. Team 1 creates a diversion on the far side. Team 2 disables the ship's propulsion system. Team 3 secures whatever supplies we can carry. Everyone meets at extraction point Delta in 30 minutes. The operation began flawlessly. Team 1 detonated improvised explosives near a fuel depot, drawing most of the Dravik guards away. Maya led Team 2 directly to the ship's engine housing, applying technical knowledge she had absorbed from our engineers with remarkable speed. Cover me, she ordered as she worked to disable the propulsion systems. This will take 3 minutes. That's when things went wrong. A hidden Dravik sensor triggered an alarm. Suddenly, we were surrounded by troops emerging from a concealed bunker we hadn't detected. Energy weapon fire filled the air. Fall back. Maya shouted, still working frantically on the engines. Get to extraction point Delta. The Zalaxians hesitated, unwilling to leave her behind. That's an order, she barked. I'll finish this and follow, she promised. As we retreated under fire, I glanced back to see Maya finally pull away from the engine housing, just as Dravik soldiers closed in. She fired her captured weapon with remarkable accuracy, creating a path for her escape, but there were too many. A blast caught her in the shoulder, spinning her around. For a moment, I thought she would fall. Instead, something changed in her expression, a cold fury unlike anything I had witnessed. She charged directly at the Dravik commander, moving so quickly the massive alien couldn't track her. Before anyone could react, she had scaled the creature's armored body and jammed a small device, one I recognized from our medical lab, into its neck joint. The commander collapsed. The remaining Dravik troops faltered momentarily, disoriented by the loss of their leader. In that instant of confusion, Maya vanished into the ruins. We regrouped at extraction point Delta, fearing the worst. 20 minutes later, Maya emerged from the dust, blood seeping from her shoulder wound but a triumphant smile on her face. "The ship won't fly again," she announced. "And I placed charges on their communications array." A massive explosion in the distance cut off her words, followed by the satisfying sight of a Dravic communications tower collapsing. "They're talking about you," I told Maya as our medical team treated her wound. "Good," she replied grimly. "Fear is a weapon, too." The next week brought a dramatic shift in Dravic tactics. They consolidated forces, abandoning outlying areas to fortify central positions. Inadvertently, they gave us room to maneuver. Maya used the opportunity to expand operations, more raids on supply lines, captured weapons stockpiled. Zalaxians who had never considered violence now moved with purpose, following the humans' instructions with growing confidence. "You're creating warriors from a peaceful people," Elder Maraxi observed as we watched training exercises. "I'm teaching survival," Maya corrected. "There's a difference between fighting because you love violence and fighting because you refuse to be exterminated." 13 days after Maya's arrival, we intercepted a transmission that changed the course of the conflict. A new Dravic commander had arrived, Fleet Admiral Kraxus, a veteran of the original human Dravic war 3 centuries earlier. "This is good news," Maya said when I translated the message. "He's old enough to remember what happened last time they faced humans. He'll be cautious, maybe even afraid. His battle record shows no defeats except against humans," I noted, reviewing the data. "He commands the flagship Inevitable Dominance." Maya studied the ship schematics we had pieced together from our archives. "Every ship has weaknesses. We just need to find this one." She spent hours interviewing Zalaxians who had specialized knowledge of Dravic technology, absorbing information at a rate that astonished our people. By nightfall, she had formulated a plan so audacious it seemed impossible. "We're going to board the flagship," she announced to the Leadership Council. Protests erupted immediately. "Impossible, suicide. They have thousands of troops aboard." Maya waited for the outcry to subside. "They expect us to hide, to defend. They don't expect us to attack the heart of their operation. The psychological impact alone will be devastating." "How would we even reach the ship?" Elder Maraxi asked. Maya pointed to our schematic of the main Dravic base. "They've been salvaging parts from your technology centers, converting your atmospheric research vessels into troop transports. We're going to steal one before they finish the modifications." Against all logic, against all odds, 20 Zalaxians volunteered for the mission. Most had been academics or researchers mere weeks ago. Now they checked weapons with practiced efficiency, prepared improvised explosives, and studied ship layouts with quiet determination. "Whatever happens," Maya told them the night before the operation, "you've already won. You refuse to surrender, to be exterminated without resistance. Your children will tell stories of your courage for generations." The mission began at false dawn. Using the underground transport network that once connected our cities, we emerged near the Dravic shipyard. Security was minimal, the aliens still believed us contained in the main complex. The ship Maya had selected was a mid-sized atmospheric research vessel, partially modified with Dravic technology but not yet fully integrated into their systems. "Remember," Maya whispered as we approached through shadow. "Silence until we're aboard, then move exactly as we practiced." The boarding went even more smoothly than anticipated. 2 guards fell to silent strikes before they could raise alarms. Vorl's team accessed the ship's systems by passing Dravic security protocols with surprising ease. "Their arrogance works against them," Vorl explained. "They never imagined anyone would dare steal from them, so their security is minimal." Within minutes, the engines hummed to life. Maya took the pilot's position, having spent days learning the hybrid controls. "Hang on," she warned. "This won't be subtle."